Добрий приятель України, прем'єр Алберти Jason Kenney особливим повідомленням в Калгарі знову проголосив підтримку Україні зі сторони провінції Алберти.
But of course, what we've witnessed over the past 7 months has astonished, shocked us all. We've seen the unmitigated violence, the pure evil coming from the heart of Vladimir Putin to indiscriminately attack people that he calls his brothers in a neighboring Slavic nation whose history is inextricably connected to that of Russia, and yet treating Ukraine not as a friend and as a neighbor, but treating Ukraine as a colony to be destroyed. It is hard for us to understand this kind of military aggression and indiscriminate violence, the likes of which we have not seen at this scale since the Second World War. That is why from the beginning of the conflict, Alberta's government has sought to do what we can to demonstrate concretely our solidarity with the people of Ukraine in the defense of their sovereignty, their democracy, and their right to self-determination. And that's why we have provided support both to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress in their effort to provide humanitarian relief. And I want to thank Arisia Boychuk, at the UCC Alberta chapter, for their tremendous support. As well, we provided $5 million of funding to the World Ukrainian Congress and their Stand With Ukraine campaign, the first installment of which went to support non-lethal military equipment like helmets and night vision goggles and other equipment to provide support to the Territorial Defense Force, which would be our equivalent of the militia, who have been playing a critical role in support of the military. Now, 6 months have passed since we made those announcements, and let me just say in context here that it's true. Provincial governments in Canada do not have primary responsibility for international development or, of course, foreign policy. But there have to be exceptions to every rule. And Alberta's relationship with Ukraine truly is exceptional. Putin's invasion of Ukraine is historically exceptional. So this requires an exceptional response, which is why I'm pleased to announce today that Alberta is providing another $10 million of support to the Ukrainian World Congress for the Stand With Ukraine campaign, specifically to purchase medical and related equipment to help save lives of the defenders of Ukraine during the difficult months to come in this conflict.
This fight not only for our land, this fight is for our survival, for our existence as a nation. Putin does not want to stop the war and escalates the situation to the highest possible level, trying to annex Ukrainian territory, called demobilization, and they're threatening the whole world with the nuclear attack. So we have to stop him. We have actually no choice. As Secretary of State Blinken recently said at the UN Security Council high-level meeting, he said, if Russia stops fighting, there will be no war. If Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine.
I'm very grateful to be here today in Alberta for this significant announcement of support to the people of Ukraine, who have for the past 7 months been bravely defending their country from Russia's murderous full-scale invasion. We are grateful to Albertans who have generously opened their homes, their schools, and their businesses to Ukrainian refugees, some of whom are with us here today. You heard from them their heart-wrenching stories of their experiences of the atrocities and mass destructions being committed by Russia's army of criminals and marauders. We also heard their cries to help provide protective equipment to their sons and daughters, husbands, brothers, and fathers who are today defending Ukraine so that they will one day be reunited with their families. This is the goal of the Unite with Ukraine campaign, a global appeal of the Ukrainian World Congress. I would just like to ask the Vice President of the Ukrainian World Congress, my colleague Dr. George Kutsulak, to join me here on stage or at the podium. I'd like to offer the Premier a very symbolic gift. This is a gift that was collected by our director of the Unite This Ukraine campaign, Mr. Andriy Butichny. These are fragments of a Russian Iskander-M missile collected by the director of the Ukraine campaign, Andriy Butichny, at a destroyed school in Bakhmut, Donetsk Oblast in Ukraine this past July 2022. This is an example of what school children in Ukraine are coming to witness when they start the school year here in September. I expect to continue to ensure that you maintain the drive and the commitment to support students over time. Thank you.
This $10 million will focus primarily, certainly at the front end, on getting them the medical kit that they need to survive. And when you're a young soldier and you're going in against those tanks or against the artillery and you get wounded, you need to have certain things to, first of all, save your own life. And then you can save the life of your battle buddy. And then when the bleeding has been stopped and the breathing has been reestablished, you need to be able to get them out of that combat area and get them back to further medical treatment so they can survive and go on to live a productive life. And they need to have as soldiers, as part of the medical kit that this $10 million will buy. They need to have things like those automatic locking tourniquets. And you carry them, whether you strap it on your left leg or right leg, or left arm or right arm. If you're bleeding, you put that sucker on, you ratchet it down, it locks automatically, and even if you go unconscious, it will not loosen out, and you will not bleed out and die. They need to have those tourniquets when they go into action. They need to have a thing called quick clot, that material you slap on an open wound that immediately starts to seal it, reduces the blood loss, and gives you an opportunity to get to the medical treatment that you will need to prevent your life being lost, etc. They need to have battalion medical stations, including the ambulances, defibrillators that go with that. So when you go into shock and when you go into arrest, you can actually get the treatment there and get your life back and be able to carry on and be a part of the citizens of Ukraine. And that's what this $10 million is going to help do. And you're going to be able to do that in January and February and March and the brutal cold days of winter, because you're going to be able to get the kind of clothing that will help you survive. That's what that $10 million is going to do. It's going to save the lives of those people who are protecting their families and defending their country.
Before we wrap up, I do have a special presentation that I'd like to make, and this is a bit of a surprise for the recipients. I want to take this opportunity to visit Alberta, two people who have made a life of service to others, to recognize their exemplary spirit of public service, in particular, right now, to the people of Ukraine. So I'd like to invite President of the Ukrainian World Congress, Paul Broad, and Lieutenant General retired Rick Hilliard to please step forward to receive one of the Alberta Platinum Jubilee medals.
Premier Kenney, you and your government stand out among provinces, as we've talked about earlier today, for the commitment to defending democracy around the world. Ukraine is fighting for all of us here, for the values we as Albertans and Canadians hold dear, which is freedom, human rights, and sovereignty. Really, the belief in creating a better world for our children and their children. This is a fight where the choice between two sides could not be clearer. Our community here in Alberta has welcomed thousands of Ukrainians who are fleeing the war. They're coming with their young children and their elderly parents. They need our help. They need our help here in Alberta, and they also need our help in Ukraine so that they have a home to return to. Today's announcement is very much needed and very much appreciated. Thank you, Premier Kenney, for your support. Thank you to everyone involved. It has been a real pleasure to work with your staff, your members of the public service in Alberta, and the members of your government. Дякую, слава Україні!
Це є страшенно критична дія, що сталося сьогодні. Альберта провадить Канадою, провадить навіть світом своєю доброзичливістю. І це є не тільки важне, тому що будуть фонди, щоб підтримувати медичне опікування, захищення територіальних захисників України, але також це ставить великий приклад для інших провінцій, для інших міст, для інших країн. І вони можуть дивитися на Альберту і дивитися, що Альберта робить, як вони активно беруть участь, як прем'єр і взагалі цілий уряд і усі люди в Альберті дбають про це, що діється в Україні. Вони знають, що це не тільки війна в Україні, але це є війна за демократичні принципи і взагалі, щоб люди могли свобідно і здорово і вільно жити.